There is a team at this World Cup that has been at the center of more officiating controversy than any other. Not in the sense that decisions have gone against them. Quite the opposite. Belgium have benefited from and been accused of benefiting from a sequence of refereeing moments that has stretched across two separate matches in two separate rounds involving two separate African nations, and has now produced a third episode in the quarterfinal that sits on the other side of the ledger entirely. The Red Devils beat Senegal on a penalty awarded in the 122nd minute of extra time. They beat the United States 4-1 after FIFA reversed Balagan's red card suspension in a process so opaque that UEFA described it as unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable. And then they played Spain in the quarterfinal, where a Rodri handball in Belgium's penalty area was waved away by referee Michael Oliver and not checked by VAR, and Belgium were eliminated 2-1 after a Mikel Merino winner in the 88th minute. 3 matches, 3 major refereeing talking points, different directions, different circumstances, different questions. And the common thread running through all of them is the word that has defined this tournament's officiating story from its opening week: consistency. Belgium's tournament is over. Spain are through to the semifinals. But the story of what Belgium experienced across their 3 knockout matches and what it reveals about the system governing these decisions deserves to be told in full and without compression. So what's really happening here? Let's go through it match by match, building the full picture, because you cannot understand any single decision without understanding where it sits in the sequence. Start with Senegal, the 1st of July. Lumen Field in Seattle. Belgium found themselves 2-0 down to a Senegalese side that had been magnificent. Habib Diarra had opened the scoring. A second goal had extended Senegal's lead. With the match entering extra time at 2-all, Belgium having dramatically clawed back to level, the clock reached the 118th minute. Yuri Tielemans went into a challenge with Lamine Camara inside the penalty area. Tielemans went down, the referee played on. VAR intervened. The review determined that Camara had kicked Tielemans without playing the ball. The referee was sent to the monitor. He looked, he pointed to the spot. Tielemans stepped up and scored. Belgium 3, Senegal 2. Senegal were eliminated, a team that had held a 2-goal lead for the better part of the match, that had been writing, in Crépin Diatta's words, the beautiful pages of the history of their football, watched their tournament end in the 122nd minute of extra time on a penalty that the Arquivo VAR platform, which specializes in analyzing refereeing decisions, described as excessive intervention, specifically noting that it was Tielemans who had extended his leg into Camara's challenge rather than the other way around. The reaction across African football media and supporter communities was immediate and extensive. An Egyptian journalist linked the incident directly to the Africa Cup of Nations final the previous year, noting a pattern of decisions affecting African nations at major tournaments. A sports fan who had watched the match wrote that football teaches lessons, but that in this case, the lesson felt like one delivered at African football's expense. Senegal's players were devastated in a way that went beyond normal post-match disappointment. They had been 11 minutes across 122 minutes of football from a World Cup quarterfinal. The referee in that match was the same Honduran official Said Martinez who had previously taken charge of the South Korea versus Czechia game. He made his final judgment at the monitor, as the protocol requires. Whether that judgment was correct is genuinely debated. The Arquivo VAR assessment said it was excessive. The protocol says the referee reviews the evidence and decides. What the protocol cannot protect against is the question of whether, in the 122nd minute of extra time, in a match where Belgium needed a goal to survive, the system was applied with exactly the same standard it would have been applied with in the 12th minute of a 0-0 group stage match between two nations without the same global profile. That question has no clean answer. It sits alongside every other question of consistency that this tournament has raised and not resolved. Then came the Balagan episode, which has been covered extensively in previous scripts, but deserves its place in the Belgium sequence. Balagan received a red card against Bosnia-Herzegovina. FIFA suspended his automatic one-match ban without explanation, in a process Belgium said involved receiving no information whatsoever from the governing body. UEFA described the decision as unprecedented, incomprehensible, and unjustifiable. Belgium played the United States 4-1. Balagan started. He was ineffective on the pitch, but the decision that allowed him to be there remained without public justification from FIFA throughout and beyond the match. Now, here is where things change entirely, because in the quarterfinal against Spain, Belgium found themselves on the opposite side of a refereeing decision that generated its own wave of controversy. One where, for once, it was Belgium who were denied rather than Belgium who were perceived to have benefited. The incident involved Rodri. Spain's midfielder, one of the most technically sophisticated players in the world, was inside Belgium's penalty area when a ball struck his arm. The contact was visible. The moment was clear enough to produce an immediate and significant reaction from Belgium's players and supporters. A handball in the penalty area in a 1-1 match, with time running out. Referee Michael Oliver, one of the most experienced officials at this tournament, who has now handled 7 World Cup matches in total, waved it off. He did not consult VAR. VAR did not recommend the review. The fury from Belgium's camp was immediate. This was not a marginal complaint about a 50-50 call. This was a penalty claim from a team that had spent 2 weeks at a tournament where decisions at crucial moments had repeatedly gone in one direction. And now, in a match they were about to lose, a handball in the opponent's penalty area was dismissed without a VAR check. Here is the interesting part, because the explanation for why no penalty was given and why VAR did not intervene is technically available and documented by a respected refereeing expert. The IFAB handball law contains a specific provision. A handball offense is not committed when the ball touches a player's hand or arm directly from the head or body of a teammate. In this specific case, the ball had first been headed by Spain defender Aymeric Laporte before striking Rodri's arm. Because the contact with Rodri's arm came directly from a teammate's head, the IFAB rules state it is not a handball offense. Additionally, Rodri's arm was deemed to be in a natural position, and Laporte's header caused a sudden change in the ball's direction that left Rodri with minimal time to react. Swedish referee instructor Victor, whose analysis of officiating decisions using the IFAB laws of the game is widely respected across European football media, confirmed the official's decision was correct under those provisions. By the laws as written, it was not a penalty. But here is the exact same problem that has appeared in every VAR controversy at this tournament, and that Belgium's situation illustrates with particular sharpness. The laws may be clear in a technical sense, but the perception of fairness depends not only on whether specific decisions are technically correct, but on whether they are applied visibly, transparently, and consistently. Belgium had watched the VAR review produce a penalty against Senegal in the 122nd minute for a contact that the Archivo VAR platform described as excessive. They had watched FIFA reverse a red card suspension without explanation. And then, in a quarterfinal, a ball striking a player's arm in the penalty area was not reviewed by VAR at all. The contrast between the level of intervention applied in different situations, reaching back 100 yards across 90 seconds to disallow Egypt's second goal against Argentina, but not reviewing a handball in real time against Belgium, is exactly the inconsistency pattern that coaches, former officials, and football analysts have documented across this entire tournament. It is not necessarily evidence of corruption. It is evidence of a system that generates profoundly different experiences for the teams on the receiving end of its decisions, depending on which specific provision of which specific law applies to which specific moment. Rudy Garcia's reaction after the match was more measured than his April Fool's press conference before the USA game, but carried a different kind of weight. Belgium had been eliminated 2-1 by a Marino winner in the 88th minute. A goal from a substitute who had also scored the decisive goal against Morocco in the previous round. Spain are a genuinely brilliant side. Lamine Yamal, Fabian Ruiz, Pedri, their quality is not in dispute. Garcia acknowledged the quality of their opponents, but the handball incident will follow Belgium's exit from this tournament as the moment where, for once, the officiating conversation was on their side and did not produce the outcome they needed. The broader picture that Belgium's 3-match officiating story illuminates is the most important part of this analysis. The same team, across 3 consecutive knockout matches, experienced 3 distinct refereeing flashpoints. In the first, a last-minute penalty awarded after VAR intervention eliminated Africa's most powerful football nation. In the second, a red card suspension reversed without explanation eliminated the primary host nation's most significant tournament story. In the third, a handball not reviewed by VAR contributed to Belgium's own elimination. What connects those 3 episodes is not a consistent direction of decision-making. The decisions went different ways. What connects them is the experience of uncertainty, the inability of any team, supporter, or analyst to predict with confidence how the system will be applied in any given moment because the visible pattern of its application across this tournament has been inconsistent in ways that resist easy explanation. Think about what this means for the integrity of the competition as a whole. The World Cup's legitimacy, its claim to be a fair test of football quality across 48 nations, depends on supporters and participants being able to trust that the rules are applied the same way, regardless of the match, the moment, or the teams involved. When that trust breaks down, when Senegal supporters see a 122nd-minute penalty that specialist analysis calls excessive, when Belgium supporters see a handbook not reviewed by VAR, when Egypt's entire coaching staff files a formal complaint, when Algeria formally petitioned FIFA in Zurich, when Carlos Queiroz jokes that VAR went for a coffee because he knows the alternative is a fine, the tournament's authority as a sporting contest is being challenged in ways that points totals and scorelines cannot resolve. Pierluigi Collina, FIFA's head of referees, has defended his officials throughout. He said nobody can question their integrity. He said appointments are based on performance and neutrality. He said the system works. He may be right that no individual official has acted with corrupt intent. The problem is larger than individual intent. It is the problem of a system that has, across multiple high-stakes matches, produced outcomes that multiple respected voices, former referees, senior coaches, national federations, refereeing analysis platforms, have identified as inconsistent with the standards the system is supposed to uphold. Intent and outcome are different things, and it is the outcomes that football supporters experience. Belgium's experience at this World Cup, 3 matches, 3 officiating controversies, 3 directions of impact, is the most complete single-team illustration of that problem available in 2026. They benefited from a penalty that Africa grieved. They benefited from a red card reversal that Europe condemned. And they were denied a penalty review that they had every reason, given their tournament experience, to expect would happen. The inconsistency does not favor them overall. It surrounds them, it follows them, and it leaves them eliminated with a question the sport has not answered, trailing behind them as they go home. What do you think? Is the pattern of VAR decisions at this World Cup, different standards applied across different matches, different moments, different teams, a reflection of genuine inconsistency in the system? Or is it the unavoidable complexity of applying laws that have genuine ambiguity to situations that happen too fast for perfect judgment? And does Belgium's experience across all 3 of their knockout matches, where the decisions went every possible direction, change how you think about whether any single call was deliberate?